Welcome everybody to Net Capital's August demo day. We're really excited to have a great group of companies here with us this evening. We've got ChipBrain, Genesis AI, Aqua and Millennial Fertility. Thanks to all of the attendees who are here, either watching live or watching this in a recording. We appreciate you being here and taking the time to listen to these companies and hear them pitch and consider investing. I'm Rob Burnett. I am the Director of Business Development at Net Capital, and I'll be emceeing this evening. The way that tonight's event will work is we've got 4 companies, like I mentioned. Each is going to have 4 minutes to pitch their event, and then we're going to leave 5 minutes for Q&A from the crowd. So any of the current attendees who are watching live, if you'd like to ask a question of the company, there's a Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom, and you can type your question in there, and we'll get to as many as we can in the time we have available. If we run out of time, which often happens, and we can't get to everyone's question, we still really appreciate it. We'll make sure that the companies have those questions so they can either text you back a response, or you can place your question on the company's Net Capital discussion board, and I'm sure they'll all get right to it. You can have Genesis AI take over and kick off as one of the first. We'd hate for people to miss the
For sure. Excited, actually, very excited. Thank you, Rob.
Perfect.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is Archie, CEO of Genesis AI. To start with, I'll tell a quick story of how we got started. So when I was running my previous AI company, I discovered what is the biggest fundamental problem in AI space, which is there are so many AI models that are developed and operated in silos. There's basically no connectivity among AI tools. People are reinventing the wheel. There's no way AI models to easily learn from each other or exchange data or trade service. So this sort of paradox that AI models, which are all about learning as much as possible, are not learning from each other, right? So we decided to solve this problem by creating sort of a constitution that will specify how distinct AI models can work together. For example, how you can have speech recognition model working with translation model to produce speech translation. Our vision is to build basically a set of rules that will enable any AI model to be connected to each other. And what we would like to achieve in the future is to be sort of a go-to place where hundreds of thousands of AI models will all be interacting with each other, learning from each other, exchanging data, trading services, and so on. And we believe that not only that will increase accuracy rate and functionality of these AI models, but most importantly, we believe this will be potentially the best foundation for artificial general intelligence. And that's where we want to go. That's our goal and our hope, that we will be able to lay foundation for creation of artificial general intelligence, which probably, if it ever happens, will be the single most valuable technology that the mankind has ever seen. When it comes to where we are now and where we are going, so we have a beta product up and running. We have 6 AI tools deployed. We have users. We have suppliers. This is our companies, AI companies and individuals who like to deploy their products on our platform. We already have made lots of announcements on our Net Capital page and other page on WeFunder. And we also have companies who are using our platform. Where we would like to go from here is to go basically accelerate our growth by 10 times. And that's why one reason why we are raising currently, and also another reason because we would like to give everyone to be able to join AI revolution and to be able to participate in building the future of the AI. I also briefly talk about our team. So I used to work at Bridgewater Associates, largest hedge fund in the world. I did investing in trading there. I had AI startup. Before, my co-founder David has senior software engineering experience at Google, and my another co-founder Mena has He's doing currently a physics PhD at Harvard, and he worked with me on my previous startup, and he has substantial experience in artificial intelligence. When it comes to where we would like to see ourselves, as a milestone, we would like to see ourselves to have basically substantial market share in all things AI in the next few years, so that we will be sort of an app store of all things AI. So when you want AI, you'll just go to Genesis AI platform. And to summarize discussion, we are building a global AI marketplace which enables people and companies to buy or sell AI technology at scale. And our vision is to lay foundation for creation of artificial general intelligence by by gathering all the AI tools that's out there into one single platform. And we believe that this will be completely transformational.
Thanks, Archel. This is really exciting. Appreciate you being here. So we've got a couple of questions already lined up. And if anyone, again, has any additional questions, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A. So quickly, Archel, right off the bat, for those unfamiliar, when you talk about artificial general intelligence, can you give us an overview of what that is?
For sure. So currently AI models can only do very, very specific niche things. For example, we can create AI models that will be able to play chess. But if you wanted to also play poker, you need to basically completely change or remodify it. So it's not easily adaptable currently AI models. And artificial general intelligence goal is to be able to be much more flexible, much more adaptable, and will be able to learn new things much faster. Similarly, I can learn poker if I just know how to play chess relatively easily, right? So I don't need to be remodified completely in order to be able to learn this. But that's the goal of artificial general intelligence, and we believe that probably will be the single most valuable technology of all times.
Exciting. And we have a couple of questions from the crowd. So first is, do you have any sales?
So we are still pre-revenue.
Still pre-revenue. And so on that note, while you're pre-revenue, there's another question of how do you generate revenue? So what is going to be the business model eventually?
That's a great question. So our business model is to take transaction fees. So for example, Apple takes around 30% fees from transactions on its marketplace. So we would like to be Apple, but for all things AI. And when buyer and seller transacts on our platform, we will take 30% fees from there.
Great. We have another question. Do you currently have access to large training data sets that you can make available to potential customers? And what can you tell us about the data available?
Yes, so when it comes to data available and what type of data we have been gathering, so we started targeting on the asset management space. So most of our data revolves around asset management, mostly around text data, right? Because we do lots of natural language processing. And the second aspect, the second industry we went to is healthcare. When it comes to making some of this data available, so usually big question that will determine what data that we can make publicly available is the type of deals that exist between Genesis AI and supplier, right? If supplier wants us to share this data to anyone freely, then we would be able to do so. If supplier wants people to pay for it, then we will not be able to do that. So this is a big question, and our goal, our vision is shared AI for all. Our vision is that everyone should be able to buy or sell AI technology. For instance, if you are smart PhD computer science student in, let's say, Romania, there's almost no way you can do business-to-business sales in US and Europe without substantial costs, right? So you will be able to sell your technology using our platform. Or if you are another company who does not have ability to attract best of the best AI engineers, you will be able to request these AI products on our platform.
Really interesting. And a follow-up question from the same attendee: how large are the data sets you have access to at the moment?
It really varies. For example, one of the data sets, I think we have access to tens of thousands of news and articles, for example. I'm talking about news and articles, financial news and articles data that's useful, just different sources, Bloomberg, Reuters, and so on. And so this data really varies based on what type of data we are talking about. And one of the big goals we have is to have a platform where we have pretty much most of the important data on our platform.
Nice. Another couple quick questions. With whom do you partner to develop live interfaces? Or develop just interfaces, sorry, not live interfaces.
I'm not sure what kind of interface are talking about, but if we're talking about, for example, how our software looks, because I assume most attendees are not very technical here. So if we that's so if our front-end developers take care of that. If you're talking about interface of how people interact with AI models, then our backend engineers take care of that. So we are basically doing most of the stuff in-house. It's sort of a short summary.
Great. And we've got one last question here to finish up our time. So you're pre-revenue and you have some part-time team members and you've raised money both on WeFunder and now you're raising money on Net Capital. Can you talk about the progress you've made so far at Genesis AI and kind of what are a couple things you might point to that might make people want to invest? For sure. Yes. So since March, that was time when we raised our WeFunder round, March 2020, we announced lots more partnerships. You guys can see all that on our Net Capital page and on our WeFunder page. We also improved our technology. We have, I think, around 5x more users right now, but I need to double check the exact number than we had before. And so this is, first reason why we are accelerating is because of what we are doing. And second reason is because of sort of COVID-driven technology adoption and acceleration, right? So these are sort of two fundamental drivers. And also, I'm sure some of my investors are currently attending, and I'd like to thank everyone. We have almost 2,000 investors, or I guess around 1,600 investors now. We raised around 700,000 in this round only. So very excited to be sharing this journey with everyone. Awesome. Well, thanks, Archel. We appreciate you taking the time, and thanks to all the attendees for the great questions. If anyone has additional questions for Archel, or you're watching this via recording and you have questions for him, check out his Net Capital page, and you can ask questions on the discussion board there. But Archel, thanks for being here. We've got the next up. We're gonna move through here. We've got Doug from Aqua with us. Doug, how are things going on your end?
Things are going great. There are some technical difficulties, though, of course. I don't know, but we do have a pitch deck. Are you going to be able to put that up and flip through it, or does it?
Yes, I will. So I am going to share this. You should now be able to see the Aquarius brand's pitch deck up on my screen here.
Yeah, I see it, and I see a watch that's telling me, I guess, it's loading. In any event, I am the CEO and founder of Atmospheric Water Solutions, which is an early stage company in the industry of atmospherically generating water. What that means in simple terms is we make water from air, and we use it for almost anything water can be used from. It's purified drinking water. It solves a number of problems that you're probably aware of in the water industry these days. The quality is very high. It's sustainable since it uses no groundwater. There's unlimited water available in the atmosphere. It's available wherever we meet certain environmental conditions as far as temperature and relative humidity, but it takes away the need for transporting water in those places and even having no water available in those places. Also, it offers a solution to the value proposition. Bottled water is getting more and more expensive. The average price of bottled water in the United States in 2019 was $2.70 a gallon, and we can produce gallons of water both commercially and residentially for under 50 cents. So it compares favorably from a value standpoint. And also there's the environmental impact is almost nil. We don't use any plastic bottles. We don't have to worry about recycling. We don't have to worry about all the carbon burnt when we go to the store and back with our cars picking up water. So those are the problems, and that's how it solves it. And how it works is we've got condensation-based technology. This technology has been around for a long time. It's used in air conditioners, refrigerator freezers, and yeah, that's a question. That you can't see the screen. I can't see the screen either, Rob, as far as the pitch deck.
Sorry about that. I thought people could see the screen. Let me see if I can fix that.
Okay, I'll keep on going. So how it works is it's condensation-based technology. Air comes through a HEPA filter, which lets nothing. There you are. You're pretty far. Yeah, that's fine. So the air comes through a HEPA filter. It goes over some stainless steel chilled coils to create condensation. That condensation is collected and it's routed through a 7-stage filtration system where then it's stored in stainless steel tanks that are UV light irradiated constantly. And then when it dispenses, it's purified water by the definition under the US pharmacopoeia standards, which means it has less than 10 parts per million total dissolved solids, no viruses, no bacteria, nothing else. Essentially, it's pure water. People say, well, what's in it? It's just hydrogen and oxygen, that's it. And so we've been doing this now for about 3 years. We completely revamped the company once I took it over, and that's why we say that we're founders, because we changed the product line, we changed the manufacturing from India and Korea to China. We've got global intellectual property now, a global sales network. We're available for sale in all the major, or almost all the major online retailers such as Target, Walmart, Home Depot, Office Depot. We've won global awards at trade shows going back to 2017, 2018. Thanks for keeping up, Rob.
No problem.
We just started about 3-4 weeks ago on Net Capital, and we are going to be using the funds that we raise for both growth and for research and development. We want to develop new product lines, and one of them would be a countertop model. It's about the size of a microwave that would make 2 gallons of water a day. We think that that would be pretty popular. Don't have a slide on that. That's Rob. The management team, we have over 60 years of experience in consumer products doing B2B and B2C. And most recently, some of the highlights of things that we've accomplished are in the sales department. Caterpillar Corporation recently purchased 2 commercial machines for use in their warehouse operations in Texas. PepsiCo recently purchased 2 machines for use in their corporate headquarters. And we just, as a matter of fact, just yesterday signed an agreement with our Vietnam distributor for $8.5 million worth of global sales, or at least in Vietnam and Southeast Asia, over the next 4 years. And I don't know if I hit 4 minutes yet or not, Rob, but.
I gave you a little extra time because of the technical difficulties, but I think this is good. And I know there's already a couple of questions coming in.
Okay.
So why don't we get to the Q&A session? So right off the bat, Doug, how much profit does Aqua make from a home unit sale or from a commercial unit sale?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's industry standard in the percentage range of anywhere from 25 to 40% gross profit margins. Typical B2B and B2C. B2C is a little higher if we go direct, but if we go through a step transaction with a reseller, then it would be lower. But it runs in that range.
Yeah, and actually that's that's a good transition into. Can you talk to us a little bit about the business model, the different distribution options, things like that?
Yes, certainly. The number one is retail, and that's where we sell to the major retailers, as I described, and then they resell to customers. It's still our brand, though. So we keep the Aqua Boy brand, even though it's being sold at Home Depot or Office Depot or wherever. Then there's another level, which are the one-step distributors, if you will, around the world. And what they do is they buy and then they resell. So they'll actually buy equipment, filters, keep them in stock and resell them. And then a third tier would be the two-step ones where they resell, but they don't stock. So they would have a sale, and then the sale we would drop ship for them, but they would actively be marketing and selling the product. And then sometimes they even have a private label. So we have the ability to do private label. You can manufacture the equipment with a slightly different look and with a different brand. One of the brands that we have right now is called Crystal Wave, for example.
Great. So another attendee asked, who are your competitors?
Good question. We have several competitors. The two most well-known ones are most likely WaterGen, which is an Israeli-based company that's got its start in the military, providing atmospherically generated water to the Israeli military. And they are a global company now, and they just actually obtained the ability to sell in the GCC because of the treaties that were just negotiated with, I guess it was Oman or Qatar and the UAE. And another competitor is Zero Mass Water. They're rebranding, so their new name will be Source, but they are most readily found and easily found under Zero Mass Water. They are based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they sell a different type of atmospheric water generator because the technology is different. They use a desiccant, which is a dry compound which absorbs water from the air, and then it releases it through a reverse process. And it's also solar powered. That's the exclusive power source for the Zero Mass Water. So there's two competitors.
Thanks. A couple more questions here coming in. So what's your current revenue for this year, and what do you expect for the next couple of years?
Okay. The current revenue is under $1 million. We're still an early stage company. We're well into the revenue stage, so we're not pre-revenue by any means. But we're also not a company that has positive cash flow from operations. As far as the future revenue, I'm not sure that we're really allowed to talk about projections under this type of fundraising. But we do project growth. And like any projection, we do show profitability.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. And for investors, forward-looking statements are always tough when it comes to these investments. They're highly risky, and so Doug obviously wants to make sure that he doesn't overpromise. Thanks. And then, Doug, one other question is: do you have any exit plans, or what are your exit plans if you have any?
Okay. Well, there's really two routes that we're looking at. One is to build and grow and become the next Keurig machine or the next Instant Pot and have a brand that's global, there's millions of units, and is a cash cow. That's one exit strategy in the sense that it would get back everybody their investment plus more. Okay, so there's liquidity, if not a complete exit. Then the other thing is that typically with these types of companies, what we have seen in our experience is you build a singular brand with a reasonably diversified product lineup, and then a strategic purchaser will come in that has made the decision that this is a space they want to be in, and they would rather buy than build. And our category for that purpose is called in-home beverage creation. And there are a lot of companies looking at in-home beverage creation as a category they want to get into. So we've talked briefly with some of those, but we really think that we have an opportunity here to build more value in the short term. So although we have conversations, we're not having a plan to exit anywhere in the next year or two.
Great, Doug. Well, thanks for taking the time. We're right up on the end of our time for questions, but really appreciate you taking the time. And thanks to all the attendees again for some really awesome questions. If anyone has additional questions for Doug about Aquaboy, feel free to post them on his Net Capital page. Doug, thanks for being here.
All right, thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right, I think third time's the charm. Lisa.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you now. Perfect.
Amazing.
All it took was a new laptop.
All right.
Well, we'll let you take it away with your presentation, then we can dive into some questions afterward.
Can everyone see our screen? All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. We're ChipBrain. I'm Lisa Vo. I'm the CEO and founder, and this is Curtis.
I'm the CTO and founder. ChipBrain, our mission is to empower people with empathy AI, particularly in conversations, by augmenting conversational capabilities. But really, I think the core thing that makes ChipBrain what it is our team. We're really excited to share our team with you.
So we have an amazing team of Harvard and MIT engineers and researchers. As you can see, we're joined by John Fanning, who was the founder of Napster, as well as 4 of our engineers from MIT and our sales advisor, Patrick.
Yeah, so when we really get to what is the vision of our company, we look at this image. This is a stock photo of people doing business. But what we should really focus on in this image is how the business gets done, and it's through conversations. That's how sales happen. That's how you do well at your job. That's how businesses succeed. And so we're really interested in how we can help improve people making sales and make conversations more effective. And that's what our technology does at ChipBrain. I want to juxtapose that previous image and notice sort of the contrast of what this image looks like compared to this image of 2 folks from rural Kentucky. And the question is, how can we provide tools that help people who don't necessarily have the same background as the folks in the previous image to be able to work and interact and be successful in the same type of situation as this, regardless of where your background is from. And the real kicker here, I guess the Easter egg, is that this is an image of myself growing up in rural Kentucky with my sister. So, the real problem is that 50% of salespeople, they miss their quota every year. And the thing is we've actually seen this problem before in the marketing industry. And so Lisa will tell you a bit about that.
Now, if you all remember, maybe from the 1960s, if you were around then, marketing used to be a mass untargeted broadcast effort where everyone saw the same pieces of direct mailer, everyone saw the same billboards. And then there was this massive shift towards personalization where every ad that a consumer saw was based on their browsing history, the links they clicked on, and their online behavior. And what this created was a $240 billion industry called ad tech that we have today. And what we're seeing is this common thread in sales where previously salespeople were insulated from data-driven techniques and best practices were conveyed in classroom seminars. But now what we have is an online shift of sales entering the Zoom platform because of the pandemic.
So just to make this really concrete, on the left, that's a graph of Google's ad revenue in the marketing space. And it shows you how revenue has increased as things move online. So with COVID happening, sales and conversations in business are moving online. A lot of us are working from home. We're going to keep working from home. And so we're seeing a similar trajectory, and ChipBrain is entering right at the start of that space. So let's show you a bit about our technology at ChipBrain and what we do. In particular, so this is an interface that we're working with. We have a few interfaces, and this is our video interface. And what you can see, if you can see my mouse, is that while a conversation is happening, we identify key emotional markers throughout the conversation. And this isn't your typical sentiment analysis, +1 positive, -1 negative. These are individual and fine-grained emotions: confusion, frustration, happiness, boredom, interest, disinterest. You can imagine the potential that this has for sales conversations. But what we can do is that, during real time, while a conversation is happening, we can predict what is the emotional response of a customer going to be before hitting the send button in a text message. Or after a conversation has ended, we can also view in a summary analytics functionality, as you see on the left, that let you view all of the key turning points in the conversation. So just to paint a really clear use case, let's talk about something that all of us know. I mean, everyone here, you know, we're entrepreneurs presenting, but for, you know, folks just all over the world, everyone has been to school and they know what it's like in the classroom. So a key use case of our technology is also there when you think of a teacher who's trying to engage with 29 students. And what we can detect is the students who are sleepy or you know, disinterested, and that moment when they become interested. And the key thing is that we know exactly what the teacher said at that moment to convert, you know, 29 students who were disinterested to interested. And we can do this at scale. And so that's the beauty of data. That's the beauty of 2020. And it's a very exciting space, because when you look at 1 million teachers and you know exactly the things that they're saying that create this jump and this change that leads to the result you want, which in that case is learning. In the case of sales is closing the deal. You can do, you know, some really great things.
This is our last slide, so we're almost done. A little bit about how big the market is in this space. The estimate of Forbes of the customer and relationship management space is $50 billion. Aside from that, $15 billion, that was $50 billion. $15 billion is spent annually in the US alone on just sales training. And McKinsey estimates that over the next 10 years, there's going to be a creation of $2.6 trillion of value for marketing and sales developed from AI technology. And with that, Curtis and I are ready for your questions.
Great, thanks guys. So a bunch of questions coming in. Right off the bat, so this is software is this software to help train salespeople, or is it to help them in real time with their calls?
Yeah, so it's one central technology with 3 products that are stemming from that technology. So there's real-time detection of emotion. We have an API that supports that. And then we have a software interface that allows for the other 2 things. One of them is after a conversation has happened, you can see what are the key turning points, and you can use those turning points to train sales employees. And then the other thing is a mission control, so that you can see what conversations are happening right now and which ones are not going so well and might need human intervention.
Okay. We've got a bunch of questions coming in from people, so let's start with one of these. So is your product just a wireframe right now, or can we actually see it in action?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually have been developing our technology for the past 6 months. Curtis has been leading our machine learning effort, and you can speak more about that. At the same time, we're trying to figure out what is the best way to present our technology, whether it's as an API or an end user facing experience. So we have developed a front end, and that's what you've seen. And we're in the process of integrating our machine learning models with our front end so that we have a fully compatible product for a user to use.
Yeah, the thing I'll add is, you know, with AI models, the more data you get, the better the models get. So our models are trained it's around 3 million augmented to about 50 million business conversations. And, you know, as we get more data, we'll train them more, but the models exist, an API exists, we have a front end exists, and we're a startup. We're going to keep adding to the product. It's going to keep growing, but that's where we're at right now.
Great, thanks. The next question coming up is, could you please walk us through the commercialization strategy? Who are your target audiences, the pricing, et cetera?
Yeah, so the first space we're entering is sales. And with that, we've been in conversation with 2 large sales companies in the space, as well as a number of other commercial companies interested in piloting with us for their sales teams. The plan for the next year is to work with a select group of pilot partners. So we're really looking for the right partnership, because we want to understand how to best build the product and integrate it with the existing CRMs and workflows of different companies. After we're happy with the product with our initial customers, we are planning to launch the product as a B2B SaaS subscription model.
Great. And a follow-up from that is, who are your partners?
Yeah, for our first pilot, we actually just signed an NDA, so we're not allowed to share their name.
No problem, thanks. So does the AI suggest how to correct the current situation as you're in conversation, or only how to interpret it?
Yeah, so right now it's human in the loop. So I know personally our vision was, when we're starting a company, we don't want to immediately be, hey, we're a company trying to replace and remove jobs. So right now it's a human in the loop. It's focused on augmenting human capabilities, not replacing humans. As we get more data, we can see how we can build tools that humans can interact with and work with that may do the full pipeline. And also we can use this API in conjunction with chatbots that already exist. So that's a way to improve chatbots and make them better, but it doesn't completely remove humans from sales and do the whole sales. I actually don't know of any company that can do that successfully in 2020, and I don't know of any research in the ML space achieving quite general AI at that level. But what we can do is, as humans are doing their jobs, we can help support them with a green button when they're saying something that's going likely to result in a positive response by the customer, or red otherwise.
Okay, and just to clarify, I think what they were asking as well was, if I were to say use this product in the middle of a sales call, does it just tell me the person I'm talking to is acting poorly, or does it actually tell me what I can do with my actions to make them react better? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there's two modes that we offer. One is the live feedback, which just gives you the emotional state of the client, and how you respond to that would be up to your discretion. But what we're able to do with the AI, once we collect more data, is learn the best practices and the statements that emote certain emotions in the client that you want to achieve from your top performers. So with that, if you're entering the negotiations aspect, then what are the best questions to elicit longer answers from customers? That's something that we would be able to detect. Something I want to emphasize is that there is a host of conversational signals and data beyond just what was said in a conversation, about how things were said in a conversation. And that is the sort of data that we present to our users.
I guess just a one sentence add-on is that, right now we're working with a potential first customer, and they have quite a few folks, who will be using the system. So that data, what we can do with that is we can identify what are the things that are said by their sales folks that were most effective, and then prompt new salespeople while they're actually live and in call with those examples.
Great. And we've got a bunch more questions coming in. We're not going to have time for all of them, but thanks everyone. I'm going to try and fire off a couple more real quick. So how does ChipBrain work with people from different cultural backgrounds?
Yeah, that's a great question. So some interest that we've received is cross-cultural interactions. If you're an American businessman, how to deal with Japanese negotiations, or dealing with businessmen in China, because the cultural cues are so different. That's something that is in the vision for ChipBrain, is understanding and learning the cues that people of different cultures and demographics give off to facilitate these cross-cultural interactions.
Yeah, and for the ML side, for those folks familiar with ML, you train like sort of a base model, and then you can fine tune that model so that it works for different personalized scenarios. So we have a very strong base model. And then as we get data that is for each new scenario, we can fine tune a model for that scenario. But that's sort of developed for each customer, which is on the road plan. But as we're early, we have the one customer now, and we're fine tuning for that. So as we have new customers, new domains, and new cultures, we fine tune our models for those domains.
Great. So with your software, do you envision it working with like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, et cetera? Or do you believe you'll have your own audiovisual software?
Yeah, we actually are building out a lightweight Zoom client right now to integrate with Zoom, so that anybody, even the investors tonight, can use ChipBrain for the next Zoom meeting that they have. Our vision is that we don't want to be just a bulky enterprise license with our own CRM. We want to be integrated with companies like Salesforce, like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and that's just going to help with the distribution of our software.
Great. And I'm going to have time to get to one more question, but I think this is a good one to end it on. So in simple terms, what's the exact problem your product addresses?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so our product for sales helps you close the deal. It provides you emotional indicators that let you know key turning points in conversations. And what that means is when you look at 10,000 conversations, you can learn a lot of really interesting stuff. For example, you can see what are the key phrases that lead someone to take someone who's confused to someone who's interested in purchasing, or someone who's disinterested to interested, from frustrated to joyous. So we can identify the key words that are said that lead to those interactions and use them to train employees. So it's literally in the sales space to just help you make more sales. But in general, the technology is to augment people's ability to be effective in terms of empathy in conversations.
Just to add a little bit to that, so that's the value that we're adding. What exactly is the problem? The problem is that for the past 50 years, sales training has occurred in a very insulated environment where salespeople are just taught the best practices in classroom style seminars. And there's no data-driven way to follow up and train and coach salespeople. But with the pandemic and the online shift that it has created, we're seeing that businesses are now conducting these conversations online, which opens up an opportunity for us to capture all of the data and what's going on in conversations. And it allows managers to follow up on every individual conversation, understand what their salespeople are saying, where it's going on wrong, where it's going right. So it's very much an opportunity as much as it is a problem.
Great. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you taking the time here. I apologize to people who still have outstanding questions. We're just going to run out of time, but if you have
on our Net Capital page.
Feel free to post on their Net Capital page, and I'm sure they'll get right to them. And I'm going to post links to everyone's Net Capital page in the chat here. But Lisa and Curtis, third time was the charm. We thank you guys for taking the time to be with us tonight.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
And last but not least, we have Mike here with the Millennial Fertility Company. Mike, thanks for joining us this evening. And Mike, you're muted, just so you know.
Thank you, Rob. Can you see my slides okay?
You can see your slides and I can hear you now.
Perfect. So I'm Mike Bach. I'm with Millennial Fertility Company. I'm here today to talk to you about our first step conception kit. And I'll start by highlighting the fact that there are two major trends driving the growth in fertility treatments. One is a trend of delayed marriage and childbirth, and the second is lower sperm counts in men. And it's so much of an effect that the US fertility market is now projected to be a $4.5 billion industry by 2022. And that's purely for assisted reproductive technology. That's the use of fertility drugs, invasive office-based procedures like IUI and IVF. And with that, there's a lot more research being done to identify the barriers to access. One of them is income. 94% of the current fertility treatments are in households with incomes greater than $60,000. If you earn less than that, tough. It's also time consuming, average of 142 hours. If you work in an hourly job and can't get the time off work, again, tough. Lastly, there's 25 million women of childbearing age in the United States who don't live near one of these facilities. So they have little or no access solely based on where they live. Now, what we're suggesting is to offer a complete 1-month solution. And at the heart of our solution is what's our patented conception cap, which is a one-size-fits-all cervical cap designed expressly to help people conceive. Now, cervical caps have been used for decades as an aid in conception, but in the past, they were primarily an office-based procedure. We're going to be home use. So inside the 1-month kit, you have 8 ovulation predictors so you can monitor when you're ovulating. You'll have a sperm and semen-friendly condom for collecting the semen, which you'd use by being intimate with your partner. You have the patented conception cap, which you place the actual semen in. You place it on your cervix for 3 to 5 hours. And then some days afterwards, you use the included pregnancy test to actually test to see whether you conceived. Now, we feel we're a better first step across the board here for all couples, because when you compare with the current process, cost-wise, getting through your first round of IVF through this process of ART costs in excess of $23,000 in the United States. Our target price is $99 for a 1-month treatment. Time-wise, no office visits required. You just order it and use it in the privacy of your own home. Last piece I'll highlight is we're a natural conception solution, which means we have normal rates of multiple births, 3.5%. The use of ART is associated with far higher rates of multiple births solely because that's how the process works. It generates far higher levels. Who do we help? What's our target market? Well, frankly, anyone trying to get pregnant. We also help all couples, regardless of orientation, where actually the conception cap is FDA cleared for low sperm count and motility. And we're actually a drug-free solution. So we're a solution for people who are cancer survivors who cannot use any fertility drugs because they're hormone-based. We also help couples trying to time pregnancy, teachers, military, anybody who has a demanding job at certain times of the year. And we're also licit with Catholic law regarding fertility treatment. So practicing Catholics can effectively and safely use our solution. we're not trying to take the place of ART. I want to emphasize that. What we're saying is we're perfectly positioned ahead of it here as a first step. So go ahead, start your journey to parenthood by eating right, sleeping well, exercising, and then use our kit for some period of months. And if you're conceived, great. And if you don't, then you can make the informed decision about moving on through the process of ART with all the diagnostics, the drugs, potential surgery, and then moving on to potentially in vitro fertilization. Our management team, we have a wide variety of experience. Harry Sandrowski, 30 years of advanced business accounting experience, has written a variety of books that are used at the University of Michigan Business School. Dr. Galen Kelton, our chief medical officer, clinically active as a hospital medicine specialist, delivered over 1,000 children in his career. Michael Rosen, who's the chairman of the board for the Center for Healthcare Innovation at the Rosalind Franklin Medical School here in Illinois. And me, 30 plus years of a wide variety of operational roles, MBA from Kellogg and a master's in health communications from Northwestern. So in summary, we really are an opportunity for today and tomorrow. We're market ready with massive potential globally. We have outstanding gross margins approaching 75%, a strong competitive position. The IP's in place, and we actually have a new cap design that we're in the process of patenting around the world to extend the IP life. And we would absolutely welcome your participation in our journey. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you taking the time. So right off the bat, wanted to talk a little bit about the business model. So how do you plan to go to market with the kit? Is it prescription, over the counter? How does it work?
So it is over the counter, and the model right now is e-commerce to start, but we're also have had a variety of conversations. We're going back and forth, but we're proposing to actually partner with a large consumer healthcare company. We're open to the possibility of a white label under their brand, solely because many of these larger consumer healthcare companies have better access to the brick and mortar avenues for sales of the product. So it should be a multi-channel approach.
Great. And we have a question here from the crowd. Do you have any studies that prove your kit works?
So as I said, cervical caps have been used for decades to help people get pregnant. And there's a large number of clinical studies demonstrating their effectiveness, anywhere from 11 to 44% success rates. So much so that when we initially brought the cervical cap to the FDA, they did not require us to prove that it works. They know it works. Our main effort is focusing on proving people can effectively use this cap in a home environment. Because remember what I said, this was primarily an office-based procedure in the past. But keep in mind, they would ask people they'd place the semen in the cap, place it on the woman's cervix, and then she'd have to lay in the doctor's office for 3 to 5 hours. The doctors didn't want that. We bypass that whole step with this. So what we're suggesting is you can use this effectively at home, and you basically can, as soon as you place the cap, you can go about your day, and 3 to 5 hours later, pull it out, and hopefully you conceive.
And so when you think about this product, I think is it for people who are struggling with fertility, or is it possibly for kind of anyone who's looking to get pregnant, regardless of their kind of whether they've struggled?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Our view is that we're positioned before most people would figure out they might have an issue. They're just starting their journey towards pregnancy. And so, yes, our conception cap has been FDA cleared for low sperm count and low sperm motility. But our view is that anyone who's trying to get pregnant can use our kit because people are busy these days. And as I said, people are waiting till later in life to get married and to have children. When they decide to move forward with it, they want it to happen soon. And so using our solution right from month one potentially is a way to maximize the possibility of getting pregnant before you even figure out whether you have any kind of issues. So our solution is actually helpful to anyone trying to get pregnant, not just people with a diagnosed issue.
Great. And can you talk to us a little bit about what progress, kind of where the company's at now and what progress has been made up to this point in kind of the life of the company?
So the millennial fertility, the over-counter piece, we actually have all, like I said, the patents in place for the IP. We have all the potential steps documented and ready to go in terms of the branding and packaging. We have some sample packaging that we have been looking at. We have manufacturing identified to create the molds for, the inventory we're going to need for the actual caps themselves. And we're in the process right now of just generating activity with potential institutional investors, as well as I said, consumer healthcare companies. We're having conversations in both of those areas.
Great. And another question is, I guess there's actually two questions. They both kind of relate. So it may take a number of months. Do you offer discounts for buying multiple months?
So that's another outstanding question. We've explored the possibility of generating revenue in several ways. One is a subscription model that if someone subscribes, we'll offer a discount if they use it multiple months in a row. We'll offer potentially a referral program. So if you refer people, you can get a discount. We also are exploring the possibility of promotional materials inside the kits themselves, so that if there are companies that sell, let's say, baby products, diapers, formula, whatever it may be, that they can put promotional materials inside the kits. But to get back to the original question, yes, we're open to that whole model. We'd like people to use multiple kits. We have done some research with a prescription version of all this, where the average person would use 3 to 4.5 months worth of these caps while they're trying to get pregnant. So we conservatively are looking at it and hope that people will use on average 3 of the 1 month kits, for people who commit to using it.
Great. And same attendee asked, how can we buy the product now? Is it available?
So the kit is not available over the counter right now. We have a different version of it that is a prescription version where you'd have to go out to your doctor and get a prescription. We're trying to bypass all of that given COVID and all the other issues going on in our world. Frankly, I didn't mention that, but that's a great point I want to make. More and more people are saying, I don't want to go to the doctor. And especially with regard to ART, for a while there, the doctors shut down their practices. So people had no opportunities to get help trying to get pregnant. That's why we're focused so heavily on the over-the-counter version, is to skip all of it to use in the privacy of your own home. If you go to our website, you'll see a button called Special Offer. That'll take you to a page where you can explore getting a 1 month version of the prescription version of our kit.
Great. And we got time for one more question here. So, and I think this is one that'll be illuminating. So why are you making the kit so cheap?
Well, because first off, there are an incredible number of people, like I talked about at the beginning, who cannot afford anything else. They can't even afford the fertility drugs. Even their health insurance is a high deductible health plan. So $99 is a reasonable price, and it still can generate a 75% gross margin. That we feel there's a psychological view of under $100 that we feel people use it multiple months. So in the long run, we feel our business model would be better served by getting people to use multiple kits as opposed to one kit.
Great. Well, we're coming up on the end of the hour. Mike, we really appreciate you capping off the evening for us.
Thank you.
And thanks again to all of our founders who came and took their time today to pitch. Thanks to all of the participants for some fantastic questions. It's made it for a really nice conversation this evening. If you're watching this via recording and you have your own questions for any of the founders, please post the questions to their Net Capital pages, and they'll get to them right away. So with that, please take a look at these companies. They're all raising on Net Capital at the moment. You can invest in them today for as little as a couple of dollars. And if anyone has additional questions, there's plenty of information on their Net Capital pages. For all attendees and for anyone watching via recording, we are going to send this out as a recording in the next couple of days so people can rewatch in case they missed anything. And so with that, thank you everybody for attending, and have a wonderful evening.